There it is.
Okay, is that a little better? We literally set this up in about the 10 minutes right before this went live. And so, yeah, we may have a few technical glitches today, but I think we're going to have a good show. So to recap, we're coming to you from Austin, Texas. Consensus event is going on right now. And there's a lot of side events, some involving Helium Mobile, and some the foundation are involved in. It's all sorts of stuff going on. Right?
Yeah, there's a lot. It's almost too much to keep track of. There's events that VCs are running, Filecoin's doing a thing, every blockchain, side chain, whatever you can imagine is hosting some sort of event here.
So Armand, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to join. It's my first time on Hacks officially. Occasional viewer, first time joiner. So,
well, it's good to have you. And yeah, I guess we cut out a lot of the initial audio there. So if you want to kind of jump back in and chat about your podcast for a second now.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you know me from the community, you know me either from Discord at Rarmon or from the Hotspot podcast, which I've been hosting for almost 3 years now, just trying to cover, everything I can about Helium, trying to bring some insight to the community and distill all the technical subjects that are so complicated and moving so fast to, help the discussion along. There's a lot going on all the time. We're always trying to move forward, and I try to help the community move forward as best I can. And recently I joined the board of the Helium Foundation. So now I'm really in here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I'm new to this. I'm from DC. I have a small climate organization I'm a part of, and I'm looking into your agricultural center, like sensors.
We actually are going to talk about a new ag kit that RAK Wireless recently released. I know we've talked about these a little bit recently, and they have 11 new kits that they've released in the past couple weeks, and wanted to kind of show these off. I know I've been discussing them, but I've got all of these with me, and I've got clearance to talk about, open them up, go through any of these kits with you. So,
wow, yeah, let's see.
What do we got here?
Education kit. What else? We got an outdoor tracker, starter kit. So they're all education kits. This one is home and office, all under the Wisblock brand. Very cool.
Yeah.
Even the packaging is nice on these things.
Yeah, and this isn't final packaging on these, but it's getting there. It's it's close. This is something that we worked with Open RAK, or One Planet Education Network, RAK Wireless, Helium, and Ubidots on these kits for the dashboarding and the data display. Some of these have other radios in addition to LoRaWAN. Some of these have cellular, some have NB-IoT. There is, let me see if I can find it here. There is an indoor tracking kit that has 4 Wisblock baseboards, 4 cores, and then the associated cellular with this. Well, what else are there? These are double IO baseboard, and they have slots for 6 sensors on those guys?
It looks like at least 4. I don't know. You can probably read that better than I can.
What else?
So, yeah, the kits. Yeah, it's really interesting. I mean, so how batteries included are these? It seems like these are like complete kits for like soup to nuts type thing.
Oh, actually, except for the batteries. Yes. Batteries can be a little problematic to ship. And so these kits, I believe you'll find battery leads in here, but not the batteries themselves. One kind of neat thing about this baseboard here is it has both input for solar panels, and then it has a rechargeable LiPo, and then a static non-rechargeable battery float. And so depending upon whether I'm wanting to feedback and recharge that LiPo, or just run off, some type of fixed power, I can select that.
Very dynamic, very flexible.
Someone was asking, I believe, about the interior tracking. Let me see. And I wanted to say, yes, there's also an agriculture kit that we can open up here. And it's pretty cool what's in it. What is it?
I'm just looking for something that's like very affordable and stuff. I'm doing this a part of like a high school club. Seems like a very interesting project to do.
Yeah, I think the Wisblock, ecosystem is very well suited for that. I think that because if you want to, you can put together your own kit piecemeal, just by ordering these modules off the site. Everything will work with all the other components, and you may not necessarily need the cellular for some of these. You may not need 4 of these boards that you're building up. It kind of depends what you're doing, and some of these prices, as you'll see, are significantly less than the other kits. Let me pull this up in front of me here, but
Yeah, I'd love to know the price ranges of these.
yeah, so we're looking at 110 here, and on the high end, some of these will, yeah,
196 maybe. Yeah,
320,
320. Yeah,
328.
yeah.
For the home office security kit, that's that has a higher end, the 429 for the industrial 4.0 kit. There's 2 industrial kits that have been released, and if you're wanting to do industrial protocols, if you're wanting to talk about Modbus, if you want to talk about integrating existing SCADA systems into kind of more new cloud-based stuff, it makes that available. Yeah, that's that industrial 4.0 that we had out just a little bit earlier.
Oh, I see. Yeah, yeah.
And we've talked about that on the show just a bit. There's a light and color kit.
Oh, this is the one for me. Light and color. All right, let's see what's in here. So you've got the base, the display, I guess the core, the wireless. This is what comes in essentially every kit, right?
For the most part. Now you can have different like format of your baseboards, and so some are larger, some are these, they're not 5005s anymore. They've updated those to a V2.
Yeah, for sure.
Guys, can I ask a question? So I'm a little bit new to this forum. I've been part of the community for a long time. I operate a bunch of hotspots, and I operated 3 validators, until just the other day. But I don't understand, and maybe I'm the only one here who doesn't, more specifically what these applications are doing and what the boards are doing. So like, I'd love to hear what Lucas is planning to do in the ag space, and if you can just sort of like say something quickly about what some of these products would be used for. It'd be super interesting for someone like me who's on the other side of this community.
Yeah, absolutely. Lucas, you want to jump in there?
Yeah, we're contacting some farms in like the Virginia area to see if we can install some of these sensors for them, and so that they don't have to use as much water and other things. And they can tell the temperature and all sorts of information on the ground.
Jason, are you on the call, man?
Oh yeah, I'm here. Some of the things that I'm using it for is remote moisture sensing. Dog's barking. I'm going inside. Some of the stuff I'm using it for is like a moisture sensor that's low rot controlled, and then from there it repeats back to a central unit. The moisture sensor might feed back to a pump and can auto irrigate. So basically you have a closed loop there, get multiple moisture sensors, by rows, by crop area, and it all kind of feeds back to one concentrated module. So that's one thing. Another part is for aquaponics and hydroponics. It takes a lot of mixing of nutrients, so you might have 4 or 5 part mixes. Making pumps to do the auto mixing, so you say part A is this ratio, part B is that ratio, part C is this ratio, and mix to a certain sensor feedback reading level that you set a target that you want. Those are some other things that you can really do. Then there's people that are tracking cattle. measuring whether you're putting too many nutrients into the ground by looking at nutrient sensors on the top of the topsoil down into the root level and saying how much is getting to the roots versus how much is running into the watershed. It's a lot of stuff,
Yeah, I'm thinking about these kits, and it seems like the demographic for them is hackers like we're seeing on this call today, and also people who are maybe looking to prototype something to build a larger application that they could then sell to others.
Absolutely. And that's something that RAK wants to work with you on. And so if you develop something using the Wisblock ecosystem, and you want to push this product to market, they want to help you out with that. They want to be your partner through that process. So it's a cool thing to get into. And this is what we based the Helium, Helium developer kit off of. And I think it's gone over very well in the developer community, here at Helium. There we go. Yeah. Hell yeah.
I'll say this much:
Yeah,
it's not just for hackers. Okay, this is perfect for a STEM class. This is perfect for high school level. And learning. It's not too crazy if you have that type of inclination, and I think that you could definitely target grade school level with this.
Yeah.
Thinking about like a high school robotics class I don't think it was offered at my high school when I went. They definitely have it now.
Yeah.
But at that level, I mean, if you can program a robot, you can absolutely program a soil sensor, water sensor, whatever else.
Absolutely. And this is something that One Planet Education Network has, worked with elementary level children all over the world, with this Wisblock system. And that's why I don't want to hear it when people tell me that the modules are too tiny, or that I'm like, man, I've seen these little kids that are just completely just owning these kits, and
They got small hands, right?
Well, right, nimble fingers
Makes it easier.
Now, one thing that we talk about a lot here, Scott Livingston has a project called HardShare, which allows you, and I printed up a lot of these kind of frame boards. And what this allows you to do is build up an array of these Wisblocks, or really any, anything you want. But you can build up, we're building up like a 16 unit board that his setup allows you to use Visual Studio Code and Platformio via a web browser to get an instance of one of these boards, completely program it just using your browser. You've got a camera that's feeding you back a visual, and then you have a terminal, that's just dumping you the output from Platformio. And that instance can be set up anywhere in the world, and you can be anywhere, or you could be teaching a course, anywhere, and not have to deal with everyone messing with hardware all over the place. They just have a browser, and then maybe you hand them a kit on the way out the door. So they've already gotten the understanding of how the firmware works, how to set up an environment so they can successfully build the firmware, flash, because you're flashing a real board. It's just the same as if it were on their desk. And so it is a cool approach on education. So
yeah, that's awesome. That really lowers the friction to be able to get started, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And if anyone here is interested in learning more about Wisblocks, I'll give you a kit today. Just to tell me what you want to build on it. And I'll ship you out a Helium developer kit, which has 2 baseboards and 2 cores. And so you don't have to, build up one prototype and say, now I got to take that apart to try something else. I mean, you've got enough parts to really kind of mess around with a couple of, full sensor end nodes.
Yeah,
So
that appeals to me a lot. I'm definitely the type to like have multiple prototypes going at the same time as I come up with an idea. So that's really great.
absolutely. So yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there.
So this is cool because the Helium dev kit was just like whatever, I think 5 or 6 sensors in one kit and 2 boards. And now we're getting a lot more detailed in the applications. I know the project that I've tried to reach out and get some local support on is a water well sensing system. So the existing, I actually got a mailer from the county, and they're like, yeah, we're monitoring well water quality. And so I reached out because I was just curious, and I said, how many times a year are you doing those readings? And they're like, oh, 3. And I was like, seems like water quality could change a lot more frequently than that. I said, how about I see if we could do it for more often than that. And they're like, well, how often? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, I mean, we could go as often as you want, but I don't know. Let's start with monthly, weekly. Like, that's technically possible. And they're like, well, what kind of connectivity needs are you gonna have? Is that gonna be a lot of data? And I'm like, no, like, you don't even need internet out there. And they're like, oh, that's great, because we don't have internet out at our sites. And I'm like, well, good news for you is I can cover with my tower that is in my background. I can cover you, the entire county, and a whole lot more. So that's not going to be a problem at all. So, and they're like, but how expensive is it going to be? I'm like, not really expensive at all. That's the least of our problem. Yep, get the right sensors, and build a proof of concept for them, and then kind of demo it, and then go from there. So that's how it's been going. But it's neat, because then I'm affecting not only like water quality in general, and we could share that with the whole community, but then, you know, I'm affecting my own water quality, which is awesome. So
right, yeah,
actually, whatever pollutants getting into my water would be awesome.
I really love that one personally, because I recently did one of these water tests at home where you can send in a sample of your water and sort of get a reading on, you know, what type of pollutants might be in it.
Nice.
And yeah, it came back on really, really bad.
There we go. Now it's back.
You know, how are you going to know, right? Unless you're testing all the time.
And where you're testing at. And so, you know, and to have multiple test points with, you know, small, relatively inexpensive sensors, you know, is going to give you a lot of better test points. One thing that I think is great about LoRaWAN and the huge rollout, you know, that we've seen with Helium is I may not even have to set up my own infrastructure. I may not have to roll gateways out. There may just be Helium coverage there. And I know in a lot of areas, I can have this kit. I don't have to deal with gateways. I don't have to deal with, you know, in any of that aspect of the network. I can just build a use case, or have a use case and build a solution out that's in node only, you know, in node, and I guess, you know, data collection and evaluation.
Right. Yeah, and in any major US city for sure, you could get started. Yeah.
Well, the interesting thing, Ed, that I see is you could definitely sample more than 3 times a year. Now, the limiting constraint is going to be, how often do you want to change the battery? You know, so from there on out, it's like, if you want it to be a 10-year, you'll sample every 10 minutes or every hour, or, you know, it'll be a slight trade-off, but it's definitely going to be better than 3 times a year.
Right.
Or if you got the solar and the rechargeable battery,
right,
push it every hour. Why not?
Yeah, just open it up. But yeah.
Hey, Travis, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh yeah, this is virtual from Discord, and I'm glad that I attended your hack. My only question here is, I'm working on 2 different settings. One is the American setting, both residential and commercial, residential and industrial, and the other one is the Indian setting. The US setting, I don't have problem with the pricing on the sensors, but the Indian one, I see a huge market. We tested, we sent out some forms and asked people whether they would want to have like a infrared home monitor, because there's a lot of burglaries in people, especially in the remote rural villages, and they were happy, really happy to have that product within their reach, and kind of like in the feasible and affordable kind of parameters when it's working with the Helium network. But for the device, what would your suggestion would be?
Sorry once again for all the tech issues here, but you know, what would I recommend? I think that
Yes, because I want to bring Helium network and usability to that area. There is a huge market to tap into. And these are not like one houses huddled together. These are like close to 70 to 50 pockets of houses that are huddled together that need those security, but cannot afford the traditional like security methods of camera and everything. That's very expensive for them. So their only cost is going to be the device, because being operational on the Helium network is not as cumbersome as just acquiring the cost. And these are like pockets of like we spoke to like around 25 pockets of these villages, and all of them are hugely interested in doing that. We did deploy door sensors because they were like $10 a piece, and really like $1 to be operational on the Helium network for the next 3 years. But this infrared sensor is what's needed actually there in case of a house break-in. So
Yeah. It's interesting that you bring that up, because in almost every group that I speak with about smart ag, or rural implementation of ag sensors, security always comes up. It's almost more than the agricultural aspect of it. Some aspect of security, and it's not just for the crops or for the animals, but it's for farmers, it's for their families. It's I mean, that is a enormous concern, and that's something that we've put a lot of thought into. And there's actually if I can find it here, one of these kits that is built up. You may have it over here.
I think it's this one, the home
Okay.
security, right?
Yeah, I just put the
this is
description
home
in the
office.
Yeah, I did
chat there.
that, yeah, home and office security, yep.
Yep, home and office kit.
Yeah, which is
Yeah, this is it.
yeah, it's a neat one. It's a neat one, but I mean, using that, you can also get into TinyML. You can get into machine learning, how we can infer that this is an action, or something that we're wanting to prevent from happening, or we don't want false positives here. How do I know someone looks shady, for example? Yeah, I mean, it's difficult to do.
Yeah, it's subjective. Yeah,
Very. But everyone seems to have security on their mind, and I think that there are some great approaches there using LoRaWAN and using this technology.
So the
Or yeah,
only
you could be like, if there's a predator or something on the farm, like a wolf or a bear or something, you could use the ML to kind of sense that those types of intruders are coming in too.
Yeah,
I think that's really cool. That's one of my favorite Helium IoT use cases, is taking a video feed and distilling it down into like the very tiny bit of relevant data, which is like, there's a wolf, or whatever it is.
right. Yeah,
And it's a tiny amount of data. You can send it over LoRaWAN with no problem, but it's so valuable.
absolutely. And it was cool up at Helium House, New York City. Seed had their AI vision. They had a demo up, and they just had it tuned in to an analog clock. And you could just go up and just set the clock with your finger to whatever you wanted, and it was immediately
wow.
thrown up on a screen right above you. But sure, I mean, if you want to, it's pretty amazing right now. These small microcontrollers are running TinyML. They're running OpenCV implementations, and it's amazing what kind of real time recognition you can get out of these little low-powered, low-priced boards. So, but yeah, Jason, like you were saying, identify a wolf or the make and model of a truck, or if you see a car that's speeding in a residential area, I want to recognize their license plate and then backhaul that up, over LoRaWAN. Which, like you say, is very small packets.
Yeah, small but valuable.
Yeah. So
go ahead.
Can I bring up another application, which is maybe a slightly demented use of the technology, and see if I'm not familiar enough with the kind of specs, but to see if you think it's a valid way of solving this problem. I was in the bike racing world for a long time, and as you know, like bike racing takes place in very rural parts of France and Italy and Australia and Middle East. And they have a real information problem in bike racing. Like if you can imagine like watching NASCAR, you have those NASCAR bubbles that tell you where, in real time, where every single rider is. You have no version of that in cycling. Cycling, they collect the information by cars that are following the race, identifying by eye where the guys are. They communicate it over radio to the team cars. There's a whole like mile of cars following the race. And then that's disseminated eventually to television and everything else. And I thought that if you had just a simple, locator device on the athletes, and you put a hotspot or a series of hotspots in the cars. Now, I know that's not how hotspots are supposed to work, but you could actually have essentially very real-time information on where everybody in the race is. And I think it would like improve the television appreciation, but also would help people with tactics. You often don't know where your athlete is. Is he half a mile up the road, half a mile down the road? And this would give you, it appears to me, like real-time data. Am I misunderstanding something, or is that a possibility?
Do it.
That's so cool. I really, really like
Absolutely
that.
possible. But Neil talks about that's his trilateration regularly, that he can pinpoint. And I don't know if it's centimeter accurate. What's the accuracy on that he's kind of been touting?
It's not centimeter.
200 meters, 200
Meters.
meters he was down to. Yeah.
Okay.
But OpenCV is entirely a solution for this. It would recognize the tags, the colors of the different riders and their numbers.
Yeah.
You could program all that in.
Yeah,
And,
that's what you would want. Yeah, and you don't and you don't need resolution down to meter. Like sort of 20 meters would be an incredible tactical advantage. If one team had this on their riders and the other teams didn't, it would just be a game over, game changing tactical advantage.
There are some sites online that you can go to that have built up models for different visual AI use cases. And there's one that I've seen that is, it has, bicyclists on a very crowded street. And I mean, it's just boxing. It's boxing riders, and it's operating very, very quickly. And you can download a fully trained and tagged model, for free and most of these, I believe, you can even use commercially.
Wow.
But training models can be difficult.
Yeah, not for the layperson, for sure. Yeah.
But there's some good guides out there.
Okay.
And now there's just some really great hardware that doesn't cost an arm and a leg at all. That you can get out there and try kind of mess around with pre-trained models. See, if that gets you, where you're wanting to go. But yeah, jump in there. I would recommend, go for it. I'd love to see what you come out with.
And the one last thing I'll say about it is that what it would give you over time is a lot of information about where the various teams and riders are. And my suspicion is that if you had that data, you could use AI to develop innovative tactics in the sport that today we're sort of stuck in the old world of like, we've been racing the same way forever. But if you somehow had more data, you could actually disrupt the sport with like counterintuitive tactics that work. So it'd be fun to try.
That's one of the coolest use cases I've heard in a while, I gotta say.
That's great.
That's really fun.
All right.
Moneyball,
All right.
but in bike racing.
Yeah, right.
I mean, I have a question. And thank you so much.
Yeah,
I have a question for you, Travis. This OpenCV stuff, it's so interesting to me. Are you saying that we're basically at the point where you just need a little bit of CPU power to process the video and to run the inference, because the inference is so cheap and you can have like really low power hardware, and we're like at that point where you can deploy like sensor grade hardware that can do all of that?
And I'm not saying specifically OpenCV either,
right,
but
some ML inference model, right?
I mean, a lot of times what you're doing is you're building these models in the cloud.
Yeah.
So I'm pushing data up into the cloud to build these models and to, fine tune the models. And then crunching those down and pushing that down to, the actual device that will be running the models.
Right.
And yeah, I think we're absolutely at that point now.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah, it is cool stuff. But what's neat is being able to run this on devices that aren't like full stack devices. I don't need to run a full, Linux stack, for example, on these, edge boards in order to process these models off of a camera feed.
That's the thing. That's the thing that I guess my question was getting at. Like, are we past the point where you need like a full Raspberry Pi, but you can actually now just use like an embedded type system to do all this processing?
I think so.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I want to go build like a people counter for restaurants or something that just uses their existing security camera feed, updates the map with how busy it is. There's just a million little use cases.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, for example, and I think that there's a lot of use cases where people kind of approach the solution in the wrong way. For example, if I want to know, like if I have a parking lot in the back of my office building and I want to know if there are any parking spaces there, or I don't necessarily have to have a sensor on every space. I don't have to. I mean, I could just have one tiny camera looking at the whole lot and coming to the exact same outcome of that question. And
it really simplifies the development from a high level perspective. Thinking about like going back to the cafe example, there are already people counter sensors that you can use in the Helium network that are just plug and play. But of course, it's not 100%. To track someone going through a doorway and people going out, if you sum those numbers up, you're not going to get to the number of people in the cafe because it's not perfect.
Right.
But if you have a video feed, you can have an AI model that's like 95% good at identifying how many people there are. And that just makes everything so much easier to think about and more accurate.
Yeah, and they don't have to be discrete. I mean, this is something that they can be used in conjunction,
right.
Different approaches. So yeah, absolutely. Oh, okay. I've been hearing about this marble Pico recently. So can someone tell us about that? Can you explain exactly what that is?
Yeah, you can do tiny ML on a Pico RPi. It's an RP 2040, the microcontroller. And it works pretty nice. I mean, it does the voice recognition and it'll do object recognition. Yeah, the models are all tiny ML and they're really, it takes a lot to train them. Most of them, what I've used have been like the example models that I got, and I haven't really retrained my own, but it's not complex code.
And I mean, you can also do that on the Wisblocks. I mean, there's mic modules and very, very cheap devices as well.
I'm wondering what it takes to run something like Whisper, like really, really accurate voice detection. So many use cases could be unlocked there, I feel like.
A K8 would work, a cluster, and just do a bunch of microcontrollers at that point,
Scott, what's up, man?
Yo, I know I'm very late, but
It's good to see you.
I see your place. Hit the big time.
Yeah, we're coming at you from Austin today. So
Cool. I didn't come with anything prepared on my side. I think the last hacks I talked about the project I was going to be working on, or am working on, and I thought my goal was to have a repository ready by the time of now, but it's not there yet. So new target is 2 days from now. So a little more time. But I'll share it.
This is Scott from Hardshare that we were talking about earlier. And I was kind of talking about the frames and
yeah, I'm excited.
But there, yeah. So yeah, I'm very excited about that. And then we've been going through these new RAK kits. So, and then just talking about hacking on microcontrollers. Yeah.
Machine learning.
Yeah.
Fun stuff. How much data can you create? How much tiny data can you create from big data? Oh, and here it is, like the movement detection kit. I just happened to randomly pick it up.
There you go. Open it up.
A long time ago. So there was something that was very popular. And when you say get a little bit of data from big data, reminds me of before deep learning, there was something called compressive sensing.
Mhm.
It was very popular, at least in the research world. And I'll send some links on it. But basically, it asks this question: you have things that seem very high dimensional, like full photographs or images from a camera, but actually, when you're just trying to detect something like motion, the information that matters to you is a lot smaller.
It's 1 or 0, right?
Right. Yeah. Well, that's the complete extraction. Yeah, neural nets are the OG. That's true. So like neural nets 30 years ago had their moment, and then they died down for a while, and then they're back. But they are the OG. And yeah, so compressed sensing is basically asking that question, but without using the learning terminology. And that's all I had to contribute. I think it's relevant because you want to, it's the same reason why you care about compressing the data, which is you have a limited bandwidth on many channels, including LoRaWAN. And so you want to make the most of it at the edge before you send.
Yeah.
So
That's almost how I think about the value of the Helium network, is like how much really, what valuable, really small data is out there. There's so many types. Like there are obvious types like GPS coordinates, but then there are less obvious types like the ones that we're talking about today. And I just popped open this movement detection kit. And do you have any idea what are these little guys? They're so small. These are so small.
They should all each say on there.
I looked, but it's so small. Oh, it's a gyroscope.
There you go.
There it is.
Yeah, nice. Is that new?
Yeah, I was gonna quick steal some time from you. I'm working on a community meetup in Minneapolis here, and so I wanted to show off some of the swag that I got from the foundation. So we've got this, I think you've seen Nick Hawks wearing the "We'll Climb Roofs for HNT" or something like that.
Yes.
And then here's another one. Let's see here. Oh, this is Bones. It's got bones on it, kind of like a helium pirate. So yeah, more details are going to come. I'm still in the very early planning, definitely over the summer, but want to get that opportunity to get together and do some planning for that, and then probably some booze and grill and stuff, and then talking about sensors and stuff too. So that's
Sounds like a good time.
Yeah, totally.
Excellent. Very cool. Yeah, keep us in the loop and let us know when that's going down. And I'd love to help, kind of get the word out and help promote that with you, man. Cool.
I was just popping open this little guy here, and I found these little radar sensors. Anything on the top of your head of what you would use that for?
We've discussed different low cost radar sensors on here before, and they're cool. They kind of seem to blow up, and everyone was kind of using them a few years ago, I guess. And there's a number of different models. Jason, I know we've discussed this kind of at length.
Yeah, there's a lot of use. Is it the LiDAR? The LiDAR is a typical radar, the LiDAR vision. That's a millimeter wave, I think, maybe centimeter. I'm not sure. But yeah, it scans distances really well. Like most of your Teslas, the sensing that they're using for distance is LiDAR. So you could use them for water level sensing. You could use them for distance sensing. You could use them they tend to be able to penetrate objects too. So you could kind of use them as like vision behind walls.
Yeah,
that's fun.
Yeah, it's just a different spectrum of sweeping frequency. So you can use it in a lot of different creative ways, but mostly distance, mostly water level, things like that. I'm not sure if your Roomba has one in it, but it might.
Yeah, and I mean, you can see, I think on a lot of those just kind of very low power or, and low price boards, get about 20 meters, of distance sensing out of them. But they can also, like you mentioned, if you have one just on top of a table and you put your hand underneath it, I mean, it'll tell you when your hand passes.
One thing that did come up with, and I'll say that there was topics that we were talking about, like, you know, people that get abducted or human trafficking, and trying to see what's in the container cars.
Yeah. That's an enormous problem. It needs solutions there. Absolutely.
Yep, needs a technical solution, definitely.
Yeah.
Hey, Travis, just one last thing. Okay, I don't want to bug you anymore, but
No. What's up? That's what this call is about, man.
okay. So me currently being located in College Station, close to Honeywell plant. We spoke with their engineers, and I think my colleague Justin wanted to order it from Seed Studio. I said I don't think so. That's a good idea, because let me speak with Travis and see what he says on this one, because we need some kind of guidance on that. And Travis is already working on Wisblock, so he might guide us properly. So we're working on two kind of sensors with their engineers.
Okay.
The first one is a tank pH monitor, because they monitor, they manufacture, those etching acids for basically for motherboards and all that stuff. They're one of their customers. Clientele is like Intel, and the other one are is like kind of a mundane sensor, which is like which detects the location of their vehicles, which have the transportation vehicle, which stay on their property for like almost 2 weeks until they can completely unload that acid that is stored in the tank. So I see the industrial kit on that stuff. Is that the one that would be appropriate for this kind of work?
You're talking about seed here?
No. We
Or-
already seen that Seed. I don't think so. I told him like there's no proper support available from Seed. I think we could work closely with I said with Travis under his guidance if it's available to us, like using Wisblock.
Yeah, take a look. There's, I guess, two industrial kits.
Right.
Right. And you're talking about not the 4.0, but the other one?
Yes, I think so. Yeah. I mean, I'm not quite sure which one would be much appropriate for the job, especially for the tank pH, because that's the one that they need more than the other
Tank
one.
pH.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna chime in here just a
Yeah.
second. I do some pH with some of the farming and equipment that way. What I use is a pH sensor that's capable to go down, and it's made out of bakelite, so it doesn't it resists the chemicals, and it goes down to like 1 pH.
Or that one.
But it's an industrial sensor that way for a pH that you're talking about. It's probably going to be on the order of like $500.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you'll just spec out whatever sensor you want that you like for your application, and then
Right.
we'll just hang on whatever on the back end, this Wisblock system that can talk to LoRa. So
Right.
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
You will need a beefier sensor, I think, a little bit more, something maybe from Chaos or one of the industrial outfits.
Okay, so then we can operate it via the Wisblock to send the information on the Helium
Yep.
network. It's on the cloud.
Definitely. Yep. And that's just a sensor on the back, and that's just a readout, the MCU, whatever system you want to use to send it off. You'll really want specifics about your sensor. I'm fairly well familiar with PCB etchants and the processing and stuff. So there are some rather harsh chemicals. So that's why I said you're going to probably have to pay a little money for your sensor.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's an industrial setting, so they're not gonna worry about the budget as long as the quality is on the higher side. Which one of the sensors you said? I'm just jotting it down for my friend.
Oh, really any MCU with a radio to LoRa will work. The Wisblock system, the industrial one, is probably suitable for you as that back end, and then you would just hang your pH sensor on it. I think that would probably be a good starting block.
Okay. Okay, and then the pH sensor, you have any recommendation for that?
If I don't right off the top of my head,
Okay.
there are a few industrial outfits out there.
Okay.
Yeah. I use like lab grade. I use smaller equipment, not the industrial. So I could tell you where to get a $50 one.
Okay. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you guys. Thank you so much.
Yeah. And I wouldn't discount what Seed can do with their sensors there either. I'd definitely look into their offerings, especially with the new data logger that they released a while back, which opens up and allows you to use any of their like over 400 Grove modules, which are typically lower cost, sensor modules in combination with this LoRaWAN, data logger and in node effectively. So they were on the show a while back, and you should check that out. It's over on the playlist if you didn't have a chance to watch it. But
I got my hands on that data logger like a couple weeks ago. Some guy was asking for help in one of the threads, and he wanted to know how to hook up a sensor. Really? I had never really touched their data logger before or looked at any of the wikis or anything. But we managed to walk him through it, and he got a sensor online, and it was talking to LoRa. So I mean, it is an easy system. It was the S2100 and the S2110 were the model numbers from Seed, and basically you could hook up any system to their data logger, Modbus, whatever you have, 10 different ways.
very good documentation on it as well.
The documentation was so easy. Actually, I don't want to embarrass a person, but the only time that we got hung up was when he got connected to LoRa, and he was so happy he got connected to Helium that he forgot to do the rest of the wiki and set up the measurements. So he wasn't getting any data. And we're like, what's wrong? What's wrong? And I said, did you finish the whole wiki?
Oh, shoot.
Yeah, it was funny. Yeah.
And
so, yeah, first time going in blind.
Nice.
Yeah.
And they're very inexpensive as well for what you get in those packages. So I was just interjecting and say, don't write Seed off. Check out their offerings. They've got some great stuff there.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you for that. I think they were listed at $113 when we first tried to order them, and somehow we forgot about them because we were busy deploying the hotspots and the antennas. And now when we rotated back and checked on it, because the engineers from the plant were saying like, hey guys, where's your plan at? And when we rotated back, it's like at $69 right now.
Exactly. $69 for those. Yeah, that's great. I'm a big fan of those little devices, but I've got to pose a question here because I said earlier in the call that I wanted to give away a kit. If someone told us about a project, and then we started hearing about this cycling project, and I think that sounded pretty damn cool. What do you think here, man?
I mean, if that person doesn't have a kit already, let's get him a kit.
Or if they need a different kit, or if they need a different type of board. I mean, I know a lot of the people on this call have more boards than you can shake a stick at. And I would be very happy to help you out if there's a particular direction you're wanting to go with that, or if anyone else has some advice here, or speak up. What do you think, man?
Yeah, I think that was very much innovative. I haven't even heard about it. I mean, if you get into sports, you automatically get the publicity too. So, yep,
Yeah, I mean, if the capability is there, if the engineering willpower is there, and all that's missing is the board and the kit, I mean, I think that seems like a no-brainer to me.
Yeah. So jump in if there's something we can help you out with. And I hate to say it, I think that brings us to the end of the hour. Enjoyed chatting and going over these new kits with you.
Yeah. This
It's
was fun. It was fun to join, and hey, it's a miracle that the stream stayed up throughout all of this. We were
right.
meticulously adjusting things throughout to make sure the laptop didn't die, the camera stayed up, etc. So, here we are. We made it.
Yeah, we'll fix it in post.
And thanks for having me.
Yes, you're always welcome on the show, man.
Yeah.
Thanks for hitting me up and letting me know that you're in town.
Yeah,
Coming
absolutely.
over. Yeah, this has been fun. If anyone else is in the Austin area, we're gonna be here for a few days at least. So hit us up online, and we'd love to meet new people. So
I was gonna see you
Yeah.
tomorrow. We're leaving around 1:30, so should be there around 4. So I don't know if you might be busy with the conference.
okay. Well, let's touch base.
Yeah. We'll be
Thank you
around.
so much. I'm just a living testament of a person that has zero IoT knowledge. So I was literally raised by the community, the Helium community. I mean, I remember the day when hack this and that, like he taught me how to send the data, the temperature sensor data over from the Excel and the whole primitive architecture. And then we collaborated with a band of engineers, and all of this possible is because of guys from the foundation like you. Great job, man. I mean, it's just incredible.
Well, I love to hear things like that, because this is a great community. There are some incredible people who share their knowledge, who share their projects, who want to share what they've learned, and let's make this world a better place. I think that's something we can really do with IoT technology, and I love to see people who are just really engaged in it. So
Yeah, and I'll just add on to that positive note. I think one thing I really care about growing up was like sustainability, environmental concerns, health, just those general things. And I feel like all of those things are very positively affected and expressed through the work that we're doing here in this community. So that's one of the things that really makes me stay and work on this, because I feel like there's real positive change that is possible here.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's nice that everyone isn't just in it for the crypto.
Yeah.
That there are people who are interested in the use cases, and what kind of problems can we solve with this type of stuff. And sometimes the crypto can help fund those solutions.
It's symbiotic. I wish more people saw this side of things, because it's like, this is where the magic happens, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So,
I agree. Well, cool. Like I say, we're running late, but everyone, thank you for joining us.
Thanks
Thank you
all.
for being on the show. And same bad time, same bad channel. Next week, be safe. See you, folks. Bye.
Thank you. This was very informative.